Hello, friends. Shawna Klingerman here for Archer and Olive, and I'm so excited to introduce you to this special journal. So I don't know about you, but when I saw this gorgeous velvet journal in the fall 2022 subscription box, I just knew that I wanted to do something very special with it. And so when I heard of this practice called the Commonplace book, introduced to me by my friend Brandy Kincaid, I knew that this was something I had to do. The idea of a commonplace book is something that people have been doing for centuries. And basically it is just a book where people have collected letters, quotes, photos, basically any sort of thing that you might want to hold on to take inspiration from the future and just to remember. My Commonplace book is simply a book created to collect whatever inspires me. The only thing that you really truly need for this practice is a journal. I am using, of course, this gorgeous velvet journal that was in the Archer and Olive Fall subscription box. It needed a special purpose, so I was really excited to crack it open and use it for this book of quotes. The other things I regularly use are brush markers because I like to brush letters sometimes. Here are just some plain black ones. I also love to pull out my calligraphs for this book. You also might like to use some washi. This washi is all from Archer and Olive, and then I also have some just neutral black and white grid because sometimes neutral can be good as well. You will also need a glue stick for this because you are going to be gluing things into your book. Make sure that whatever kind of glue stick you use that is permanent. Otherwise, things will start falling out a few years down the line or a few months. So pull out a permanent glue stick. You're also going to want some scissors if you are cutting things out. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, I just tear. But why not have an excuse to use these beautiful golden scissors from the Archer and Olive sub-box in December of 22. The final thing that you're going to need for this project is just some inspiration. So personally, what I do is I keep just a white bin, this tiny little container sitting in my studio. And when things strike my fancy, I just put them in the bin. I don't think about it too hard. Just anything that means something to me or makes me feel feelings goes in the bin. So here I'll show you a few things. Like I really loved this little cafe sign from the Archer and Olive sticker set. Also, this is just a random strip of watercolor swatches. And so I'm just holding on to it. It's in my bin. I can use it sometime on a page that I would like to add that to. This is a little tag that is from some random set of ephemera that I just love. I've been holding on to it forever, so someday it will end up in the book. If you are like me and you subscribe to various mailers or you are getting happy mail with quotes and stuff from people, that is also a great thing to use in your book. Personally, I get a lot of my Commonplace book fodder from my friend Brandy Kincaid, who actually is the person that introduced me to the concept of a Commonplace book. She sends out a mailer called Extravagant Hope every month that's filled with quotes and artwork and stickers. So when things from those mailers stand out to me, they go in the bin. This is an adorable sticker from the Valentine's box from Archer and Olive. It inspired me, so it went in the box. And this is a vintage ticket. Look how cute this is. Sometimes things just feel good, and if they feel good, then they get saved. The final thing, and probably the most common thing for me to put in my book, are quotes that I've found on my own. These are just things that people have said to me that I've seen written down that I want to save. And the way I do it is that I often just grab a sticky note and write it down, and then I just throw it in the box. And so when I am ready to work on my Commonplace book, I can put the sticky note straight in there, or I can write it on another piece of paper or type it on my typewriter. But this just gives me kind of a landing place for all of my things. So the way that I put my pages together in my Commonplace book is not complicated. I do it just little piece by piece. Each of these pages didn't come together in one single setting, but instead I just start placing images and quotes and inspiration on pages one at a time. And because I want my pages to feel a little bit cohesive, what I do is I just look at the color theme on any particular item and then decide if it fits on a previous page or if I start a new one. As I'm getting toward the end of my filled pages, you will see that there's spaces that are still open. That's because I haven't had the right thing to put in that spot. With this particular practice, I really believe there just are no rules. This is about what makes you feel good, what makes you happy, what you want to save. And so there's no rule that you have to fill every single square inch. But what I find is that eventually I find the quote or the little cutout or the card that will fit in whatever space I have left. And so I really don't overthink about where I'm putting things as I go. Here we have some pretty empty pages because these are my last several pages. And so, like I said, they are just separated by their color themes for the most part, or by where they would fit. Real quick before we move on, I wanted to mention that I have also created this printable for you that is available over on the Archer and Olive blog. I know not everybody has been collecting little pieces of ephemera and quotes for a book for forever, so I thought this little collection of quotes might be a little bit of good inspiration to get you started. So let me show you my process of filling in my book and adding things. I really want to encourage you not to get caught up on trying to fill a whole page at once or even build a theme. For me, that is all overwhelming when I just kind of want to place and give myself permission to just not be perfect about it, and also to put things wherever instead of feeling like I have to fill it all in. So what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to fill this page, I'm going to just start pulling pieces up. I like to start with my bigger ones first, like this one, How Sweet Is This by Brandy Kincaid. You don't always have to be on to shine. And then I'm just going to see where it fits, both in space and in color theme a little bit. So if we move backwards, these pages I know are all too full for a bigger picture. And this one doesn't have a good home for it. So I'm just going to keep on turning pages until it has a place. Oh, look at that. So now on this page, I have almost nothing, but this beautiful quote and this little light go really well together. So I'm going to just add this onto this page. So we are just going to grab our permanent glue stick and we're just going to glue it down. So I like to be pretty liberal with my glue, and then I'm just going to place it on the page. When I'm placing, a lot of times I will use this little dot grid to help me space it. So because I know this is a straight line, I can kind of line it up. So now we're going to repeat that process with a few other large pieces for a card like this that has something on the back that I don't want to lose. I am going to use washi to make it flippable. So the way I do that is I just put my card down and then I grab some coordinating washi. I'm looking at my tape for something that matches this color scheme. And if I don't have any patterns, then I just resort to my neutral grid. My personal favorite way to use standard sized washi is to tear it in half, just like this, so it's a little bit thinner. So I'm just going to add the tape on one side, and then I will put this down, kind of thinking about, do I want it to overlap? A lot of times I will overlap just because I think things that are overlapped look a little bit more like they are intentionally placed together. And then in order to make it really stick, what I'll do is I will flip my card over And then I will add washi on the back as well. And then we just rub it in really well with our fingernail or whatever you have on hand, just to make sure that it will stay. Okay, let's keep adding. I write things on these little telegrams all the time, so you'll notice that is showing up on a lot of my pages. As I'm adding it, I just don't want it to be on another page that has that paper. And once again, I'm looking for a color match. I actually don't see a good place for it, so we're just going to go ahead and start fresh on a new page. Who knows what's going to be on this page, so there's no need to put it anywhere special. Instead, just go ahead and glue it down. Okay, now we're going to pull out some of this just patterned and colorful ephemera. Remember how I said anything that inspires me is fair game? Well, now I'm just going to start sticking some of those things down, and then we'll move on to our sticky notes. I think this is going to be best if it is just layered, and so I'm just going to lift up my paper here and add it behind. So for now, I'm putting this tag here, but we're going to wait to glue it because who knows what else is going to end up on the page. Maybe it will go like this. Let's just give it a little bit of time. Full permission to just rip. I love ripping little pieces. I think it adds a great effect. Those little torn edges, you will see that showing up all over in my book. Now we just need to find a home for this color, which I'm really clear on it belongs on this page. Okay, so now let's talk about these little sticky note quotes. These I use in a few ways. Sometimes I just grab the sticky note that I wrote in the moment and I just add it to a page. Here's another one. It's a nice pop of orange, which I don't have a lot of that in my book. So these are two different ones, and I really love both of these, but I'm kind of thinking about putting them in my book in a different way. And so there's a few ways I do that. Sometimes I'll grab, for example, a little like notepad, maybe some library cards, or sometimes I'll pull from journaling cards that I have, like 3x4 journaling cards, and I will write on one of them just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this quote and I'm going to use my typewriter and just type it out. Wouldn't that be fun? So here we go. Now my sticky note has become this journaling card that is torn. This quote says, "Can you hear inside a sound wanting to be made into a song?" And so a lot of times at this point, what I like to do is find some spaces to do some hand lettering. And I'm just going to letter this for this example, but you can also just jot things down. Another little trick that I use is when I have a small space like this, I will pull out my sticker stash. So I might look for something that would fit in here. So here are some other sticker sheets from Archer and Olive, and I'm just I think this color scheme is really good. I bet there's something adorable here that will fit just right in that little spot. The other thing I'm going to do is give myself a smidge more space with one of my fantastic little tears. We also may just want to pull from this sheet that I created for you and find something else. So as you can see, bit by bit, we just start filling in these pages with little bits that inspire us. So sometimes, friends, when I get to this point on a page where there's just a few spots left, I can't resist. I want to fill it in. And so instead of waiting, let's go ahead and find something that could go there. We could put a little sticker, or we could take this opportunity to add one more quote. And so I think I want to add this quote right here. And I'm just going to write that on my page just using a regular gel pen. Note, I made a mistake. I crossed it out. None of that matters. And because we put a bunch of things on this page, a little messy handwritten thing actually feels a little bit, I don't know, sweet and eclectic. And so I'm not worried about that. I don't have room for the author's name, but I can put it up here. Okay, well, here we are. All we have is just two spaces that are kind of open on either side of the page. which we could totally just leave open. But just for fun, I decided to see this page all the way through, and I'm going to be adding some of these word strips from the free printable that I have over on the Archer and Olive blog. And then we're going to pull out that little watercolor piece of paper with some color swatches, and we're going to cut and tear that down and tuck it over on the other side. And there you go, we have a whole page done. So for the rest of this book, friends, I just complete this process. I pull out things that inspire me, I find a little home for it, I either stick it down or write it in. Before you know it, you end up with page after page after page of beautiful inspiration. So let me know, what do you think? Are you going to start a quotes and inspiration journal of your own? And if so, which journal are you going to use? I would love to see anything that you are creating, so be sure to tag me at Shawna Klingerman and Archer and Olive over on social media so we can cheer you and your little inspiration books along. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to head over to the Archer and Olive blog to pick up your own free quote printable. And until next time, keep creating, friends. Bye!